On top inside Edo today, Edo people don't salute Governor Obaseki as Edo state government don't talk say they not go collect April revenue for their hand. Chairman for Edo State Internal Revenue Service, Igbenidu Ine don't talk say Edo State government no go collect revenue for transporters them hand for April until the Yamayama disease wey dey for ground as e be say dem no want make e affect Edo people. Dis one follow for di new law wey Edo State government put for ground unto di coronavirus disease wey dem take tok say make passengers dey practice social distancing and dis one affect di way wey dem take dey sit down for motor now. Di new way to sit down now for car na one passenger for front and two for back, and bus go carry one passenger for front and two for dia back seats. Chairman for Edo State Internal Revenue Service, Igbenidu Ine con tell tori pipo say Edo State government do dis ogbonge tin for transporters so dat dem go fit put body on top how to make sure say coronavirus disease no go affect anybody.
Just like any responsible government and organization the world over today, the Edo State government has adapted to the COVID-19 pandemic by adopting certain health and safety protocols, including social distancing and certain hygiene measures. Recognizing the fact that public transportation vehicles have people within close proximity, government decided to grant a tax break in the month of April, recognizing the fact that they carry less people now than they used to. And so this tax break is meant to cushion the impact of revenue losses that may have accrued to these drivers who operate daily, so that their households, can continue to be supported by their breadwinners. That said, those involved in heavy goods vehicles, popularly referred to as haulage, are not in this category. We recognize the fact that they continue to engage in economic activities, and we would adhere to the provisions of the tax regulations that says that we should take our haulage fees at the point of loading and offloading and at certain designated control posts. At a time when we feel or government realizes that there's the need to shut down in this space, it's only natural that if there's no economic activity, there will not be taxation. So I think the directive is very clear. It's not subject to selfish interpretation. Our enforcement team and our compliance teams will be on surveillance to ensure that all those who should comply with relevant payments to government for haulage taxes do comply. So we want to appeal to those operators to kindly continue to work with government. As we get into the next couple of weeks, there might be need for government to step in to make certain social intervention. It is the taxes that we collect that will fund those intervention strategies of government. So let us understand the fact that we are the ones who enable government to work for us, and so it's in no way meant to be punitive or to bring inconveniences to people. Let's continue to be responsible citizens of Edo State. If we engage in economic activities that are subject to tax, we just have to remit those taxes to government. We have also taken some measures to ensure that people are not penalized for their inability to reach us in this period, and so we have extended the period for annual filings from the 31st of March to the 30th of April so that people can stay within the compliance requirements.
Some of the transport people wey happy on top dis better thing wey Edo State government don do for them come follow tori people talk as e be say dem no go pay tax at all for dis April.
Then we are following the directive of the government by carrying the passengers two a seat and one at the front, which is 5 passengers. And we are still going to beg the state government to mobilize and set task force, because if you see, saying this now direct from the park, you see the those buses that are blowing, they are carrying more than the directive of the government.
Yes, I comply with the directive. They can look inside the vehicle now. It's 5-5, we are loading.
Whether they go abide to the law.
Edo State Task Force wey go make sure say dem follow dis new sitting pattern for motor con still dey ground gidigba, and dem follow tori people talk too.
Okay, the essence is that the public should be aware that the government have given a directive of social distance, and we're enforcing it by telling, we go to parks, we are telling the bus drivers to make sure they abide by the rules of the government. Now, for those buses that used to carry 10 before, they should not carry 5, which is 2 at the back, 2 at the center, 1 at the front. Then for the taxi, 2 at the back, 1 at the front. So that's what we have been going around to make sure they comply. And we are also enlightening them to let them know that this virus is free, that they should maintain social distance. They will also use their face mask and all that.
Now here we see this ogbonge informate reach on top wetin shele for inside Edo today. As e be say Edo people don throw better salute give Governor Godwin Obaseki government, as Edo state government don yarn say dem no go collect April revenue for their hand. Make una sabi say this ogbonge informate wey waka come into una so na Till Live Media na im bring am come give una. And to get more of this ogbonge informate, make una like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for Till Live Media TV.